Hello world, welcome back to whatever this is, and once again you are joined with Ken and Yaro, aka Kenya. Yes sir. Today we're going to be reviewing one single video of a guy called NoLimitEddie, who from our research we think he's lived in Kenya for a couple of months, though we don't know if he's still in the country. Today we're going to review this video of his where he has a few critiques about living in Kenya, and without any further ado, let's get right into it. So we haven't seen much content from this specific creator, but we thought it would be a good idea to go through some of the critiques he raises in this video, just so that we can give our viewers a more holistic idea of what life is like here in Kenya. Not just the good, but also some of the shortcomings that we have.
I mean, definitely, when you show all the good sides without the bad, it just kind of paints a bad picture when they find there's actually some bad aspects here. So yeah, it's a good approach.
I think it's very beneficial to approach some of these criticisms with an attitude to learn, an attitude to become better, as opposed to just looking at these guys like they're just criticizing for nothing. I mean, they came here for a reason, so I think it will benefit us if we took their feedback and applied it to making corrections so that we are more accommodating to bigger groups in the future. So let's get right into it.
Hands down, Kenya is the most fun country in East Africa, but it will be terrible to live here. Let me explain why. But first, Shalom, my name is NoLimitEddie. I'm a 26-year-old American who has been traveling around Africa the last 4 years.
These guys are young, man.
And I'm documenting every moment of my journey right here on this YouTube channel. If that's something to you, drop a like on today's video, so YouTube recommends you more content you'll love. The first thing you're going to hate about living in Kenya is the amount of begging you're going to have to deal with. Okay, now, yes, you may think I'm evil. Oh, he hates poor people, he hates beggars. Look, we're going to take it back to school. We're going to do show and tell. Remember those? So first, I'm going to show you this clip, and then I'm going to tell you about it.
Now, the next play is to go and get some food. I myself am hungry now. This guy is following me. Oh, hey, big one, man, I'm Joshua. Okay, from Nairobi. That's amazing.
I'm Masai.
Amazing.
You know Masai Mara?
Yeah. Okay, my friend, I have nothing for you, so please, you can stop following me, okay?
Yes.
Maybe you try somebody else. Me, I'm done. I'm on my way to find Cafe Javas. I want to interact with the locals more, but you can't when you have someone kind of following you quite a bit. But this happens in Cape Town. This happens in every city. When you help people, other people want.
He's pointing out something that is very apparent, something that is very true. As much as we have a thriving middle class population in Kenya, majority of people will be classified as living below the poverty line if you actually look at the statistics. I think 75% of Kenyans who pay taxes earn under 50,000 Kenyan shillings a month, which is a little under $400. So there's a huge populace of Kenyans who, according to global standards, are living in crippling poverty. So I'm not really surprised that if you're starving Kenyan and you're seeing someone walk by with a very expensive camera, probably worth more than any amount of money you've ever seen in your life, you're gonna try get something out of that guy. I'm not saying that's something that we should encourage, but I definitely understand it because I see the poverty people live in every day. I can't blame that guy for trying to get it where he can. I can also empathize with NoLimitEddie. I don't think poor people beg in America as much as they do here in Kenya, because the chances of getting help here in Kenya are much higher, I think.
I can see how it can be a bit of a nuisance when you're walking through Nairobi. You want to get into the culture, you want to see CBD peacefully, you just want to explore, and then suddenly you're getting people on your neck, give me this, give me that. And I think I would advise maybe like more research done when you're walking in such places, especially in CBD. And maybe when you're doing the exploring, you can do it in a place where it's not that rampant with the beggars. So.
Yeah, because it looks like he's in CBD, smack dab in the middle of town in Nairobi city, which is very busy. First of all, I wouldn't recommend you shooting any content there because your camera might get snatched. People in the CBD are hustling, they're trying to get anything by any means necessary. I would recommend that you pick the locations you're trying to make content at with a little bit more research, just so that you avoid these spaces where you are likely to find beggars like that. Because there are many kids who grew up in the streets, they sleep in the streets and they have no families. Some of them are from Nairobi, many of them are from the other towns outside Nairobi, and they come to Nairobi trying to make something out of their lives. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm walking smack dab in the middle of CBD town, Nairobi, and there's a number of people begging me for money. I've experienced it myself, and I'm not a foreigner. So the biggest reason that they approach is because they think they are more likely to be helped by a foreigner, because they think, of course, if you came here, you have some extra change. You're out here making content, looking like a tourist, of course they're gonna bother you. And this is not something, by the way, that is exclusive to only African countries or Kenya for that matter. And he pointed out himself, I've seen similar behaviors from videos of tourists traveling Europe. I will say there it's more scammy. It's less forward. They'll act like they're trying to raise funds for someone who is going through a disease or something, and they pester you to sign your name, and once you take that bait, you have to leave them with something or they'll cause a scene. This is something that is endemic across all civilized society or all modern cities. People will beg, but I will say that we have a bigger reason to beg here in Kenya, or here in Africa for that matter. Okay, so let's just continue with the video.
Real life incident went on for minutes. Okay? And I'm trying to walk down the street, enjoy my life, film my content, and this is happening. Now you may think, oh, this guy's evil. He hates beggars, he hates poor people, No, listen. Right before I filmed that clip, a kid came up to me and said, hey, can you help me buy food? I went to the store, bought him some bread and some soap to wash his clothes, and I bought him some artillery, some items inside the store.
I'm in the store with this guy here. He's talking about he wants food. I don't know what he wants for food, but
see, that's where you lost the plot. The moment you take the bait anywhere, watakusumbua, they're gonna disturb you. So I'm pretty sure the guy who followed him saw this happen, or at least heard about it before he thought I could follow him for however many minutes he followed him for. He definitely did that for a reason, and I think this has something to do with it. Because if he didn't bother to take this kid into a supermarket, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't get that level of disturbance from the other guy. So this is a big rookie mistake. Don't fall for the bait. If you're walking in the CBD and you're seeing one of these street kids and you're trying to help, maybe they pull on your heartstrings, I would recommend you look for an actual organization that does this stuff, because you can't save all of them one by one like that. That's just feasibly impossible. So that's my recommendation. What about you?
And in the streets, words travel super fast. Probably that kid knew a person who knew a person, and then now they located you and they just marked you and said, yeah, this is the next person we're gonna actually follow around. And
you're lucky that it only extended to begging, because there are crooks out there. There are people who aren't as maybe well-mannered as these boys, as much as they're from the streets. There are people who are more desperate out there and who aren't as willing to beg and are more inclined to take. So watch out for, as much as you want to show that you are caring, you are empathetic, do it wisely.
When I came out the store, of course, that guy who was following me saw that, he saw that in his mind. He began to say, oh, this guy's an easy target. This guy's a giver. Let me exploit him as much as I can, right? And again, I do giveaways all the time on YouTube channels. One time I went to the slums and bought a whole chapati stand, ate all the eggs, all the beans, the chapati, and we gave them away to the biggest slum over in Kampala. So like, I'm a giving person by nature. However, okay, there is a limit to that. There is a certain amount that you can give in a day, there's a certain amount that you can give comfortably and freely. In Kenya, everybody is begging for something. whether it's the homeless people on the street, and there's homeless people everywhere, by the way, in CBD, and even in Kilauea, Kilimani, there's homeless people on the street.
I wouldn't go to the extent of being shocked by the amount of homeless people on the streets, especially when you're coming from America. I mean, we got YouTube. We can see you guys have homeless people there as well. For one, I would like to commend our homeless people because at least we leave our streets somewhat clean. We don't leave all kinds of drug paraphernalia on the streets or human waste. I've seen that on YouTube. It's there. You can search it. So let's not act like this is something that is exclusive to Africa or Kenya. There are homeless people everywhere. It's 2025. The economy sucks everywhere. He's pointed out the mistakes he's made. He's noticed in hindsight that he took the bait when he shouldn't have. So I would just recommend you go through organizations that are established to help people like these as opposed to helping them one by one because you can't save them all.
That's annoying. Now, this point right here is going to be specific to me and other content creators, but it is filming. Kenya was maybe the second hardest country ever to film in. First would be Tanzania, second would be Kenya. When you go to places, you go to malls, you go to restaurants, you go to these different places and you have a camera. That's it, just a camera. You're going to be followed, you're going to be chased, you're going to be touched, you're going to be reprimanded. I'm going to show you some clips. Like I said, I'm somebody who films. I just film what occurs to me in my daily life and I show it. Okay, I don't invite these situations. I don't go to a particular place looking for a negative situation. All I do is document my daily life and display it.
There's Tika, Okay. Let me try. I guess.
10 security guards for me?
Stop touching me!
Take a video. Please, don't take a video.
I'm just ordering a pizza, guys. I'm ordering a pizza.
This is a very interesting topic he brings up. The topic of filming in public spaces in Kenya. If you're traveling to a country, I would suggest you do some research so you get some context before you end up in situations where you're feeling like you've been targeted, because we have a legacy of terrorist attacks. Some have been fatal to many people, and they've left somewhat of a scar in our collective psyche as Kenyans. Some of the measures we took to limit the avenues terrorists have to attack people in Kenya is we have security points in every public space, okay? So before you enter like a mall or a hotel or an airport, you will have a very intensive security check, and those security checks didn't exist before a number of consecutive terror attacks some years ago. I've seen other creators come to Kenya and they'll talk about how Kenya feels safe because there are security points everywhere. That's the legacy those security checkpoints come from. They are meant to protect people. And a feature that our local law enforcement noticed with the terrorists was that they will scope out the areas of interest before they undertook a terror attack. For most of these terror attacks, there was almost always someone scouting the area, taking pictures, taking videos, trying to plan for the event beforehand. And that's what our local enforcements have been trained to seek out and weed out. They don't care whether you're a content creator coming from America, whatever, blah, blah, blah. If an establishment is asking you to please not film, it has nothing to do with you. They don't know you. They don't know that you shoot your life and that's your livelihood and that you make content. Their only concern is security. It's a well-intentioned strategy to, I guess, detract anyone who is thinking of committing a terror attack from trying to do anything like that, because they do need to plan. So if you're taking that away from them, you are definitely limiting their chances for another terror attack. So I would recommend just do some research before you go to some of these places, just so that you don't feel like you're being victimized when it has nothing to do with you. We're just concerned about our own safety as Kenyans, and I'm all for at least verifying what someone is shooting or the purposes for the shooting, and you should be forthcoming with that information if you don't want to get into trouble. But that's the reason why specifically Kenya, in public spaces, we have a very high level of vigilance when we see someone pulling out a camera. And also, we value our privacy to some degree as Kenyans. Not every Kenyan wants to be seen out there in some random guy's YouTube video. We have an acute sense of the 6th degree of separation theory, where the world is small enough that if I don't want to be found and I'm in your video, it's very easy for someone who is a couple of degrees of separation from me. It's very easy for them to see me in your YouTube video if I don't want to be seen. And whether I want to or don't want to be seen in your YouTube video, that's my discretion, okay? Of course, I can get myself out of the way of your lens, but also if you're pointing the lens at me, I have the right to tell you, yo, I don't want to show up in your scene, but I also, of course, don't have the right to make you stop filming or whatever if you're in a public space that permits that. So yeah, just do your research, bro.
And I can also see how confusing it is because, of course, you're on TikTok scrolling, you're seeing influencers post in those areas and spaces. And while I was doing social media, we actually go through a lot of protocol. You have to send a message. You have to send emails to the place where you want to film, and then you have to pay a fee and all that type of stuff. So before you say, "Oh, it's only me, victim," and the influencers in Kenya actually do this, we actually have a process that you must follow strictly, and you must be labeled this is an influencer list before you actually go and film anywhere.
Yeah, and also even if you have a public institution or a public space where people congregate, it's the destination's responsibility to tell the congregants that we film here, so if you're in our premises, just know that there's a possibility that you might end up on video. Do some research before you travel to another country, especially if you're a content creator. If this is really your livelihood, this is something that you should have known. This is something that you should have researched, just so that you limit this bad taste in your mouth when you could have avoided it.
Nairobi, Kenya is the weather. See, it actually gets quite cold in Nairobi. If you're in Africa and you're walking around and you're seeing people wearing closed-toe shoes instead of sandals, you know that it's cold. I've seen people do everything imaginable in sandals. They will herd animals and goats and cows. They'll run a full race. They'll drive motorcycles in flip-flops. So when you then see a whole city, most of which are wearing closed-toe shoes, that means it's cold. When I was in Nairobi, for the most part, every day I would always leave my house with a sweater. And of course I wore closed-toe shoes as well. And sometimes I'd even carry a beanie. Now, it wasn't so cold in Nairobi to where it's like you didn't want to leave your house or you didn't want to go outside, but it was cold enough to be like a little bit of, right? Like I wasn't excited to go outside and feel the sun or anything like that. So it was a little bit of, it was one of those kinds of weather. So if you're like me and you love the heat and you love the warmth and you love the energy that the sun provides, maybe, right, you won't really enjoy Nairobi, especially during this season. There's so many other places, let's say, for example, even in Kenya, like Mombasa, where it's always warm year-round.
So when I talk about,
I don't know if that's a valid complaint. I mean
well, the weather can be a bit confusing. It is bipolar because of all the changes going around in the whole entire world. So even the research that you can do and say, okay, usually it's hot in this time, and then you find it's cold, it's just sometimes it's not really our fault.
Yeah, and I mean, we have weather apps that project up to 10 days in advance. So I think this is something you could have prepared for. It sounds like he traveled without any preparation for the climate. He just thought that Africa is going to be hot. And that's lapsed judgment on your part. Kenya is known to be like 5 different climates in one. We have the coast where it's a bit more humid. It's hotter. We have, like I said, the highlands, which Nairobi is like a gateway to the Kenyan highlands. And of course, it's higher ground. It's much colder. It gets chilly. But here we are in Voi, which is between Mombasa and Nairobi. Yet we have like a hybrid of those two climates. So it can get chilly, but it can also get a bit hot and humid. So again, this could have been easily avoided with research. So just work a little harder on that part.
What I see. Now, another thing that, I mean, I absolutely hated about being in Nairobi, and that you'll hate about being in Nairobi too, is the sitting water. Okay, the sitting water. Everywhere you go, there's just still water, right? Inside of the aquivores, I don't know what they're called, but essentially like the city's drainage. There's always just sitting and still water. And when you walk by it, it has a bad stench, a bad smell. There's oftentimes trash that gets blown inside of it. You see men, you know, just go off the side of the road, they turn there and they just pee inside those things, pee inside the waters that are there. And so I wouldn't be surprised if people are also defecating in there. I didn't see that. Okay, but it's like there was bathrooms close by. They probably would have used those and just being on the side of the road. So they're probably taking a crap in there too, right?
This is not America, my friend.
Another reason why the water doesn't smell so good. But the sitting water is everywhere, and I just feel that that's not quite healthy to be around. That's not quite optimal to be around. I wouldn't want to somehow fall into that water or somehow get that water splashed on me. Like, woo, that would be, you want to take a chemical bath at that point.
It's definitely not everywhere. We come back to the question of research. Because if you picked a place to live at where the water isn't consistent, again, that's on you, my bro. That's on you. I mean, I'm pretty sure even in America, the water supply isn't the same everywhere. But I can point you to places where you won't get issues with your water supply. I can also point you to some places where you would get issues with your water if you decided to live there. So I guess it just comes to discrepancy in research. You just don't just do anything willy-nilly and then get surprised when you get half-assed results, okay? A little research goes a long way.
Yeah, and also a third world country, you know, in Japan, the still water is actually having some fishes in it and it's super clear. I don't think that's something that you'd find here yet. So maybe that expectation was a bit too high on your end.
Again, research.
Now let's talk about the rudeness of the people. In Kenya, I had quite an array of experiences. Okay, now I always said I want to do a video about the women in Kenya versus women in South Africa. I always said I was going to do a video about that, right? I might do this. I might even do that as a live stream. So let me talk about that point first. I know a lot of people are up in arms about Kenyan women. Are they friendly? Are they not friendly? Are they cute? Are they not cute? Let's talk about that. Okay, so first and foremost, the rumors that you hear about Kenyan women being far more like aggressive when approaching a man that they find desirable or attractive, those are true. Okay, those are 100% true. If a Kenyan woman finds you to be physically attractive, she will make it known, right? And not even like subtle hints, much more like vulgar, like not vulgar, but much more like in your face with it, right?
Thank you, I appreciate that. You look nice.
You look good. You're cute. You're handsome, right? Like straightforward. I think you're attractive. Like saying it pretty much in plain English. They will do that, even if you're not necessarily even looking for anything. If you're not even, let's say, for example, pursuing anything, they will do that. Because I was there, you know, I got my Rwandese, you feel what I mean? So I wasn't really like, you know, looking for a Kenyan whoopee, and so even though I was there and I wasn't looking for anything in particular, I wasn't really like going out there trying to get numbers, there was many opportunities presented to me to get numbers, and more than likely much more than that with the Kenyan women, right? I'll just dispel that. Kenyan women, very upfront if they do find you attractive. And I'm an attractive person, so yeah, like, the women are cool. I would say that the people in Kenya are less hospitable. I would say the people in Kenya are less concerned about making sure you have just like a very amazing visit.
Some women are forward, some aren't. I don't think it's across the board, but we are open, we are forthcoming. So that doesn't surprise me one bit.
When you walk around the street, I don't think the tag that says you're not looking for anything is very out there unless you say so. After you say so, I don't think they pursue you unless you've gotten like a really extremely aggressive person. But also, I think being upfront is not really a bad thing because it's better than just having this hypocritical type of relationship with someone where they're like just your friend and then they actually want you. So I think that's a great thing. And I don't know about you, but compliments are nice. When you're walking around the street, you're looking nice. Yeah, thanks. I actually have someone back at home, but yeah, thanks. You know, don't take it too personally, but I take the compliments personally because they're nice.
I can see how some cultures might perceive that as being too forward or too, he almost called it vulgar at some point. Even with our neighbors, you know, in Tanzania, Uganda, we are considered as more forward than the other surrounding cultures. So that's just a heads up. When you come to Kenya, we're a bit more honest. We don't like to beat around the bush. Like, I'm half Tanzanian, so I can attest to this. Tanzania has a more polite way of approaching social interactions. They won't be as forward as Kenyans. And yeah, if you come to Kenya, just expect that level of forwardness. We don't like to waste time. We want to get straight to the point. Let's get right into it. So
the women are cool. I would say that the people in Kenya are less hospitable. I would say the people in Kenya are less concerned about making sure you have just like a very amazing visit. As an example, I can say accurate. When I was in South Africa, right, and this is quite common no matter where I am in the world, but in particular when I was in South Africa, and the South Africans kind of got a hold of my video, they were like, I have so many emails of South Africans, so many contacts South Africans. They see the video and they're reaching out to you. Let me show you this place. Let me show you that place. Come here, do this. They're so active in wanting to ensure that anyone who visits has just like a super amazing experience. So it's quite common when I go to a country to get people to email me, see these different places, or take me here to give me advice on what I can and cannot do, or what I should and should not do. In Kenya, I think I only got one DM maybe from somebody that was a Kenyan over on TikTok. That's just an example of like my own personal experience with Kenyans being, let's just say, less like, you know, welcoming or hospitable than people in other places. There was also a time when I was trying to film a video. I was filming a public interview, which I'm actually going to be posting today, but I filmed it a while back with me and Tutu. And as we were trying to get people to like be in the video, being in an interview, the amount of people who would just completely ignore you, the amount of people would just keep walking and like act like they don't hear you, but they do hear you, or you know what I mean? Like, it was quite like kind of rude. I film public interviews, let's say.
One thing that I know Kenyans will stand behind is we're not going to fanboy anyone. In Kenya, there's this acute realization across the board that we are all equal. No one fears or reveres anyone too much. Well, some politicians kind of blur that line because they give small handouts to people like we discussed in the first part of the video, people who need it, people who are desperate for it. So you might see some fake adulation there, but in general, Kenyans just see every other human as equal. So if I'm going about my day and you're trying to stop me in the middle of my tracks to interview me, I'm like, yo, I got a place to be, man. I'm not gonna entertain that if it's not something I'm interested in. And also, do you know how many people come to Kenya and do what you do? We've seen thousands of you guys. You can't expect Kenyans to keep on falling over the comment section trying to get you to interact with them because it's commonplace for us. We've seen this hundreds of times. So it's nothing special. I'm not saying that other countries haven't seen that. It's just that we have an acute realization that it's just another random guy with a camera. Okay, so a regular Kenyan, if they're not desperate for money, they're gonna go about their business. They're not gonna fall over themselves trying to get you to notice them or trying to get a handout, unless, like you say, they're poor and desperate. So I don't know what you were expecting, man.
I think what he was expecting is the way Black Americans feel like they're a bit superior to Africans, and they should be, you know, exalted when they come. They're like, yeah, this is Black Americans. We have to. Well, that's not the case here because we've already established, or we're already intertwined with the Western culture, like how we dress, how we talk. So when you come as a Black American thinking you're going to show us something new, we kind of already lived it. So when you expect the whole you know, I'm excited to see you, welcome, wow, I want to be in your video, we also kind of do our own videos, and it's, you know, it's not something new that would really excite us at this point.
Yeah, and there's so many African Americans who have come here and haven't expected that kind of treatment. There's some level of entitlement in your sentiment, as much as you're trying not to offend. I wouldn't go to a foreign country and expect people to just be like, oh, friendly. Like, that's that's an unrealistic expectation, if you ask me. You got people telling you how good you look in the streets. What more do you want, man? Like, for content, I guess he raises some valid criticisms. So far, after watching his video, there's nothing I feel called to work on in myself. Everything is mentioned is stuff that is pretty commonplace, pretty normal. The only thing I would recommend to people like him is just do your research before you go to a destination you've never been to. Find out what are the cultural norms in that area, what are the social norms in that area. Find out where not to go, find out where to go. I'm pretty sure there are vast networks of African Americans in Kenya already established. So tap into those. Find out where these guys hang out. Because I've seen their videos. They don't have the same concerns you do. I think you made the mistake of coming here alone with no prior research or no deep research, and went through the hard knock path of finding out these things by yourself. But I think if you interacted or connected with already established networks, like we've seen with Trava's Culture, Kia Wakesho, I think they will lead you in locations and destinations that you will see less of the criticisms you're pointing out. So yeah, any final words for NoLimitEddie?
I think it was a pleasure hosting you, although you went to places where they were not Black American or American standard type of hosting. And the next time you plan on visiting, if you're out of the country or if you're still visiting or moving around, I think it's a great idea to have the research on point, have everything that you probably would want to see also there, like an itinerary or something,
Exactly.
So that you don't end up just being everywhere all at once and seeing the whole chaos in it all.
Take away for the day is do your research, guys, before you travel to an unknown destination. Find out what it is you want to do, where it is you want to go, so that you don't end up like NoLimitEddie. Again, this is Ken, and this is Yaro, and to NoLimitEddie, we say Kenya welcomes you with an open heart. If you've watched this video all the way to the end, kindly like and subscribe so that we may continue to grow this acquaintance. Until next time, from Kenya with love. Peace.